everyone. Julia and I, we are having some technical issues and so sorry for being late. And this is the thing with technology. Every time when you go live, everything that will go wrong can go wrong. And do I have someone here? Can people hear me? I'm right now using my phone. Are you on? Oh, hey, Julia, good. Okay, awesome, can hear me. And so let me see if I can invite you and to thank you everyone for just hey Zella, I can invite Zella and okay, good. Hi Zella, hi Julia, and we are having some really bad technical issues, and thank you so much for your patience. Julia, what did you use to watch this? I can invite, can you use your phone or iPad to watch this live so that I can invite you to join this? And I will just get started today, and welcome to the weekly show of Classroom Without was using technology to reimagine education. I started this show because I believe our society has changed a lot, and social media and technology play a huge role in our changing society. And as educators, and we need to change and embrace social media and embrace this digital transformation so that we can educate qualified students for the next generation. On this show, I interview leading professionals like Julia today to share with us social media education tools and tips and how we can use social media to educate our students. And today, if you are new to the show, thank you so much for checking us out. If you are a returning attendee, I sincerely appreciate your support. And if you are watching this on replay, thank you so much, future people. Hey, Julia, right now I'm just going to, oh, I see you. I sent you an invitation, Julia. Crossed. I hope this is going to work. And so today is really my honor that I have Julia McCoy. Yeah!
Yay!
Guys, we did this test for 20 minutes. Oh my God, thank God I know this secret. So just a tip here, and if Facebook Live, whatever third-party tool is not working, you can go live doing this type of interview on Facebook, the app, the tool natively on Facebook. Just the layout isn't as pretty as Be Live, but hey, it works.
I can hear you. Oh my gosh, the last 20 minutes were so crazy. You guys, my husband was in here trying to mess with my tech. Be Live. Does it usually do
Be Live? Yeah, Be Live is Be Dead for us. It's now Be Live.
It was completely dead. It's so funny because you could hear me, but I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I have no idea what was going on. We're just stressed. Oh, 1 minute. Yeah, but anyway, I'm just so happy this finally works. And I hope you have a tripod or something. Otherwise, your arms are going to be sore. And I will just introduce you briefly as you get set up there, Julia. And Julia is the CEO of Express Writers for 6+ years. She's a best-selling author. She's a podcaster. She's a founder of her own Twitter chat. And she is also a content marketer and online course master and course creation. So I'm super, super honored that Julia is with us here today to share search engine optimization and content tactics to help you and me and everyone here and build a strong online presence. And thank you so much for being here, Eddie, Zala, and everyone. And so sorry about the technical issue, but thank you so much for being a huge supporter here. So Julia, do you want to add something more? And welcome to the show.
I'm so glad that we actually made it happen. So I'm still recovering from, this is my first ever time, and then for everything to go wrong, what am I doing?
You're doing amazing. Yeah, please give Julia a big heart. This is her first live, and she's having a tough beginning.
And Zala, thank you so much. It's so cool because I see you guys on Twitter all the time, and Zala's in our Twitter chat. And we communicate through social media, and it's so good to like actually have a live platform where I can jump on and say hello. And I'm so glad you read my book, Zala. That is awesome. So you think you can write? It is your book in hand at all. I'm so honored.
Oh, Zala is the best. Thank you for being here, Zala. She's giving you lots of hearts.
And Alberto's here.
Oh, hey, Erica. Erica is here. Oh my God. Erica is an amazing online digital social media brand strategist and personal coach. I love her to pieces. Yeah, thank you for being here, Erica.
Awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show, AI. I was so excited.
Yeah, is it no problem.
It's not
yes,
AI.
Yeah,
okay.
It's I. Yeah. Do you want something to my intro, or you think it's anything else you want to mention?
No, I think you were covering it. I was looking for my tripod, and the piece at the top, actually, there's a piece that came off, so I can't even use it. So I'll just be holding my phone the whole time.
Okay, I will try to be short. Right. Oh my God, right now it's already 15 minutes gone. Okay. Hey Darren, thank you so much. If you guys can help give this a share, that would be greatly appreciated, because right now I'm on my phone. I don't know how to share this. So if you can give this a share, and that would be great. And thank you so much. Sorry again about the technical issue. And we are just going to forget about the icebreaker question, all those things. We are just going to dive in. Yeah. So Julia, you have a very, very strong online brand and a very strong personal presence and social media presence, which really helps you create like $1 million business and attracted 5,000 or more clients to your business. So can you please share with us the top 3 best practices that really helps you build such a strong personal and online presence, so that our audience can apply to enhance their own personal brand, so that we can be half as awesome as you?
Oh, I love that, how you worded that. Well, the top 3, that's a really good question. So I'm trying to think of summarizing, because you sent me the questions, and I was thinking of beginning with the foundations and then going into like the different things I do today. So I would say for the top 3, sorry, I shared this on my Facebook. I think I would need to turn off my browser. So for the top 3 strategies, I would say that the first place that you should start, and this is really simple, is to determine your place of authority online. So that is the first place to start when you're thinking of what kind of content should I create, what kind of keywords should I go after. Before you do all of that, think about, okay, where can I stand online that will be my place of authority, where I'm going to speak from, share from, and be that authority. So that can be extremely niche, and the more niche you go, actually, the better. Like, you run an ice cream shop, you don't just want to do a position from an ice cream shop owner. You want to talk about the flavors of ice cream that sell the best, or how you make it, or the specific flavor down to the ingredient. But that's an example of food. So let me move to business example. So so probably more relevant if you're in business, and let's say you're a digital marketer, and you're trying to find where your place of authority is, it's really good to identify who you're going to serve and who that person is. And that would be identifying a persona. So however you can create and identify your persona, that will help you create content that reaches that exact person. So thinking of it like that, you're targeting real people and you want to find out who your niche audience is. So that's the first place to start. That would be my first tip. And then once you know your niche, and for an example, let's say you're in marketing and you're a digital marketer. Okay, that's super broad, right? There's like 50 million digital marketers. So go from there and then ask yourself, who's the client that you serve the best? So position yourself from that place. If you serve a B2B digital marketer who's also an agency owner, who makes a specific income, who is a specific gender, who runs a specific agency with specific services, you know, narrow down that much and think of the person you're serving when you create content. And you can narrow down by doing surveys. That's like the number one way that I recommend to find your audience, is to do surveys and discover them. And if you have a brand new audience and you can't really do a survey on an existing audience, I would recommend Facebook Audience Insights. They are amazing. You can get so much data on your ideal target person in Facebook Audience Insights. So that's where I would start. And you tell me if I should move to the second and the third tip, or do we have questions?
Yes, we do have some questions. People are, I wish we were on Be Live. You know, on Be Live, you can show people's comments, but unfortunately, I can't. But it is, oh yeah, it's okay. And yeah, people are having some really great comments here. And I agree. And you know, niches and as what people say, riches are in the niches, you know, like I personally struggled a lot, especially like during the semester, because I'm a professor. During the semester, it's not very hard for me. You know, I can just talk about teaching. But during the time when I'm not teaching, my personal brand, especially this year as I'm on sabbatical, it's like all over the place. I so agree with you. And you need to understand your audience, understand your niche. And then content creation has become so much easier for me now. I have become a lot more focused. So Zella has a question here, Julia, and she asked, you are building a really great presence with express writers. And what's your secret sauce of being able to manage both? I guess she's talking about manage both express writers and your personal brand. So how can you do that?
That is a great question. And, you know, that's something I would say that I've only figured out probably in the last 12 months. So before then, I blended content too much and I put personal content on Express Writers Write blog. So I would do like a very personal post about how I podcasted, and I put that on our company blog and it didn't get that much traction. So what I'm doing, you're going to like this, is I'm moving more of my personal content to Medium. So that is where I am like showcasing my very personal stories. Like the one that I recently published was the transparent story of how launching a course went, down to the dollar I made whenever I did the beta launch.
Oh.
So that should not have gone on Express Writer's site because it's super transparent and it's worded from my perspective. So for me, Express Writers, you know, we need to serve our clients there, and I need to feature more voices of our team members. So that's what I try to do with Express Writers content, is I will try to bring in guest contributors from our staff, our managers. And then if I write, it'll be like a very data-driven piece of advice, like how to write Facebook ad copy. Just published that a couple days ago. And that's not personal. So that's what I've done now. I've distinguished that line, and I'm very clear. If there's anything that's personal, it's going to go to Medium. It's not going to go on the company blog. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like people are coming. Hello, Alberto and Natasha, Darren, and Ken. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate you guys. And you got another question from Ken Hart, and he asked,
he's my writer.
Yeah. So he asked, can you see the comments, Julia, or no? I'm just curious.
Yes.
Yeah. So he has a question. What made you believe there was a gap in content marketing that express writers could fill?
That is a great question. I started it from a place of I was right there at like the brink of when marketers were starting to invest in better content. So I feel like I was right there when all of that started happening. Like, for example, a locksmith knew that he needed content. So he was approaching me to ask for blogs. And when a locksmith, like a local locksmith, knows that he needs blogs, that's when you know content marketing is widespread. And I was able to be there right on what I feel like was the cutting edge of content when people were investing. So that was back in 2011. So today, I think that we found our place because of the consistent content that we've published that is at a certain level of data-backed research, informative content. We pull topics from what our clients tell us they have issues with. So if they don't know how to write a list style post, oh, guess what? That'll be on the editorial calendar. That's one of our next topics. So we have been able to maintain that place because of how much we listen to our clients, our audience, and then create content that matters to them. And then I think like starting 6 years ago and being there right when people were investing in better content, that has really helped launch what we do today and how we have so many people listening to us and reading our content. So it definitely back to when I started.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of what we were talking about earlier, people were also commenting on Medium, and I really love Medium. It is such a great platform because already has a huge audience there. And I didn't start blogging on Medium until May this year, and the engagement has been really amazing. Yeah, within 2 months, I earned a top writer status in social media on Medium just because I blogged consistently on Medium. So you can do this. I was not a blogger to begin with, so it can definitely happen to you. Anyone, Zala, Natasha, anyone, Alberto watching here, this can happen to you. So definitely give it a try. I love Medium. Yeah. Well, people have so many great questions. I don't even need to ask my question, Julia.
That's great.
So we have another one from Alberto there. And can you see it, Julia, from Alberto?
I can. You want me just to go ahead and read it and answer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't mind, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alberto, he is asking, what are your thoughts on micro content? Do they affect or benefit SEO? Are you using it in your content strategy? That, I would say to answer that, I don't know much. I'm going to be really honest here. I don't know much about micro content, and I know that I've seen that topic and I've read about it, but as far as actually creating content that serves that micro content purpose, I can't say if I am or not because I haven't actually studied that topic. So, when it comes to creating content, what I've studied is that long form content for our audience, which is that B2B level. They are executives, they run their own startups. So at that level, they're looking for content that is super informative. Also, I have to add, our audience is also definitely a mix of freelancers. So those are people that are looking to expand their writing portfolios, get more clients. So that's another percentage of our audience. And all of those people are looking for long form, intensive content. So that, and Alberto, you can tell me if I'm actually answering your question, but whenever I create content, I think of our audience, and that's why I create long form content almost every time. And I'm actually mixing in video content.
I agree. Content, every time when I write a piece, I think of my audience, which are educators, professors who are thinking about using social media. I think about them and I be as thorough as possible, try to make it as evergreen as possible. And my articles are long and thorough. I think it definitely gives me lots of traction and credibility. And I 100% agree with you. As people are asking questions about writing, I have kind of a follow-up question related to writing, Julia. You know, for many educators, we pretty much do our job by talking a lot and writing a lot. And I know you are a best-selling author of online writing skills. So can you please share with us some really best strategies or tactics that can help us create stellar content that can grab people's attention? Like, how can we do this? Today, we have so much noise, you know, everyone's writing, is blogging, video, all those things. So how can we create content, online content that can stand out and grab people's attention? Thank you.
Great question. I love how you worded that. Well, so creating content that really, really matters and makes an impact. You know what I've seen in the pattern of creating content on our site, on guest blogs that have made it to the top, like just risen to the surface above the rest of the content. There's definitely a pattern. And to me, it boils down to how much usefulness are you giving away in that piece of content. And on top of that, there definitely are optimization tricks. So if you're publishing, let's say, a long form piece of content, you want to study your headline. And I would suggest using a free headline. So I use the Advanced Marketing Institute's Headline Analyzer, and I try to go for a 50% or more rating, which is where you're getting more, and it'll tell you, the tool will actually tell you what you're achieving with that rating, but you're getting more spiritual, you're getting more emotional. So you're hitting those emotions and you're getting people to click. But what I don't do, that I think a lot of like BuzzFeed style content, what I don't do that really makes sure my headline is in the right track, I optimize the headline after I create the content. And that's like super important. Don't want to create a misleading topic and that be like your crux. So, you know, everything relies.
I feel like I did everything wrong.
No, I read your content. You are not.
But that's a great tip, everyone. Yes, keep going. Sorry to interrupt you.
So yeah, just creating the most useful content you can think of and strategizing more is what will get your content further. So instead of just, you know, how can I create content that's going to hit that scheduling goal? Instead of thinking of it like that, think of like, how can I really make a difference when I present this topic to my readers? So for me, like, for example, back on International Women's Day, last year, I think it was last year, I created this roundup of 50 amazing women in business. And it took me about 2 months to come up with the bio, go talk to the ladies, and bring this great summary of 50 amazing women, put it together. So I created that. It took me a ton of time. I'm like, at the end of it, I'm like, is this worth it? This is so much time. And then I published it. And it surfaced and it made it to their top shared content for the entire year. So it's definitely a pattern. The more time you take and the better that content is, it's going to stand out above the crowd. And the Alberto mentioned that micro content, he mentioned tasty. So that would definitely be the conundrum. Among the long form pieces, among the content that does really well, that's super useful, super intense, is that micro content, like what you were saying, Alberto. And I think that there's some brands that do really well with that. So I'm not saying that everything you need to create has to be long form. It's more like, what is your audience? What do they expect from you? You know, for us, it's that freelancer, it's the startup owner. So they expect super intensive stuff. Otherwise, they're going to bounce. So knowing what the audience expects is definitely the first and foremost key to creating really good content. And then it really does come down to your strategy and putting a lot of time into that piece of content, perfecting it. It will pay off. So that's definitely one of the biggest things that I've done in my content to boost success.
Oh wow, I just loved it. This is so true. You know, everyone, I feel like today, everyone is in such a rush and we expect overnight success and we don't want to do the hard work. We don't want to put in the hours, but just hearing from you, it just shows you just have to do the hard work, you know. So I'm curious, how long does it take you on average to have a kind of really like thorough, a good like blog post? Now the example you shared, which took 2 months, but on average, like how many hours?
How many hours? So quantifying how much time I put into blogging as a whole, or just blogging?
Yeah. Just like one piece of blog, like one article. How many hours does, yeah,
that's a great question. So I think I really have had a shift in the last 12 months. I think my time has doubled, and something else that's changed. I've brought in more team members to help me optimize that piece of content. And I'm actually reinventing the workflow this week and adding a new one of our quality assistants is going to join me and further refine the content. So by now we have a designer, I'm writing the skeleton, I have a copywriter that helps me flesh out the pieces, research the data. That's 3 people. Then we have a social media specialist, that's 4 people. Then we have an editor, so that's 5 people, including me, involved in that one piece of content. So my time has definitely grown in terms of my workflow. So I allow way more time now. Like I used to create a post and get it out inside 7 days. That is not what I do anymore. I sit down and I research the topic. So for 1 week, I'll just research topics. What am I going to write about? And then I'll research the best keyword for that topic. And that's really important. That's one thing I definitely wanted to mention was how much a great keyword has contributed to the success of my company and getting marketing. So everything we do is stems from our content marketing. Like that is what we sell, and then that's what we do for ourselves. So we do what we sell, and everything we do to market ourselves comes from that content. But finding your keyword, finding your topic. So I devote a week just to fleshing out 4 to 5 really good pieces. And then the next week will be production week. So we create the content, we write it, and I kind of let my creativity flow these days. Like I don't have a set day. And I used to have a set day. Like on Saturdays, I would sit down and I would just write. But I found that kind of boxed me in, and it really didn't give me creative room to come up with some really good stuff. So if you have that time and you can let your creativity just flow, like if you pick it up at midnight and that's your flow, that's when you should be writing. Or if it's 6 a.m., 5 a.m., and that's when you're super creative. So I wouldn't really box yourself in with a schedule, but when you start writing, turn off distractions. No Facebook, no Twitter. Close your door. Like, do not get distracted. That's where you have to pencil it. But don't like pencil it into your schedule to where you're stuck writing in a certain day every week, because then you're just going to get in a rut.
Oh, that's such a great point. And we have Ken here again. He said that sometimes takes him several days to just research the topic before he even started writing. So based on what you all shared here today, I can really see the importance of doing homework. And Zala also mentioned the importance of keywords. And so how do you, I guess right now we're talking about search engine optimization. So how do you identify those keywords, Julia? Like, how do you know, like, are there certain tools or apps that you use for your specific piece of content, the right keywords that we should use? Tell us the secret.
You're going to make me share all my secrets.
I know. So we can all become mini Julia.
That is a great question. I think that is something I address heavily in my course because, like, you know, creating content around amazing keywords, I have seen a long tail keyword, and a long tail keyword, I'll start from the beginning. You have your broad keywords and then you have your long tails, and your broad keywords are about 2 to 3 terms. So 2 to 3 terms is, I'm laughing at Ken's comment. I am the same way. I will look at Twitter.
Me too.
Twitter, 30 minutes. Oh, too funny. Yeah, I have to close my browser. So going back to keywords, you really have 2 groups of keywords. One is your broad head keywords. So that's your 2 or less words, 1 word, 2 words, sometimes 3 words. So that's where you have a ton of competition. Like you have Macy's, you have Nordstrom, all fighting for the term black dress, for example. And then you have long tail keywords. Those are like 3, 5, sometimes more phrases. So you have 3 to 5 words in that phrase. That makes up your long tail key term. And anytime I've created content, like this is going back to day one, 20 years old, brainstorming my first blog, I was researching keywords. And I have found goldmine after goldmine that no one tapped into because I found a low competition keyword. So if you can find that 5, 6 word key term, and if you post this content on Medium, it can do really well. Like the platform you're publishing on, if it has a lot of weight, oh my gosh, you can see your content rank in a matter of weeks, sometimes in the top 3 of Google. So doing this really works well, but you have to spend time finding that keyword. And my 2 favorite tools are, and you have to use a tool, like you cannot just use Google. I see people, they're like, I try to research a keyword using Google's drop down. It doesn't give you competition numbers. It doesn't give you a score, and you have to know those things to find a really good keyword. So I use SEMrush. That's one of my all-time favorite tools, but it's very expensive. It is $99 a month. So if you're looking for a cheaper tool, there's something that launched a couple of years ago, and I've been so impressed by it. It is I never know how to say this word, but it's spelled like a mango and then ols. So I think it's Mangles. So mangles.com. Type in like mango and put ol.com and you'll see it. So that's the name of the tool.
Wow.
And if you type that in, let me know, because that's kind of a difficult phrase.
Yeah, if you can just like type the word that like in the comment section after the show, that would be great, because I do a blog recap trying to repurpose my content here, so I will make sure that I have the information accurate.
I think I just typed it down.
Yes, you did. I saw it. Yeah.
So
Thank you so.
Yeah, that is the alternative that I definitely recommend, and it starts at, I think, around $29 a month, so it's much more affordable. And what you can do is you just type in your term, and then you instantly see a keyword difficulty score from like 1 to 100. So you want to look for terms that are 40 or below. That's your sweet spot. If you're around 50, 60, you're probably likely competing with a site that has a higher authority, and that's where it gets really tricky, because if you're up against like HubSpot.com, I would never go up against them because they have such a domain authority. They've been around for years. But one term that I recently went after, and we got in the top 3 or 4 of Google, and you guys watching can test me on this. The term is blogging statistics. So we were able to go after that term, which is kind of an anomaly because it's only 2 words, but it was still there. It was an opportunity in the competition. So it had super low competition. So we created this super in-depth post. And again, it took us about, I think, 4 weeks to create this piece of content. And it's around 3,500 words. And we came up with the top 55 blogging statistics that are the reason you should blog. So really amazing statistics. So we put that on the blog, and in a month we were ranking in the top 3 or 4 of Google.
Wow, this is so powerful. Oh my God, I learned so much. Thank you for sharing all those like top tier secret with us. But I agree.
Absolutely.
A few weeks ago, I did a blog like on Medium talking about live streaming, and another one talking about WeChat and mobile pay, sharing my experience in China. And those 2 articles, I think I had some like keywords there. I really got picked up, and it's really amazing. Yeah, I got picked up by a few influencers, and I got some shout out. And really shows everything you are sharing with us here, Julia. It's just really spot on. I really didn't think much about it until now. Yes.
It's huge. It could be something that simple, just researching and finding an amazing keyword, and then writing, when you write content, I will say, whenever you find that keyword, I don't want to mislead anyone. So it's not as easy as just finding that keyword. You have to create amazing content for that keyword. And if there's someone in the audience that can research the keyword blogging statistics, tell me if that's still ranking, because it could be someone is competing with us for it now. But if you go and you can find that piece of content, you'll see what I mean. It's super, super in depth. And it just took us a lot of time to create. So I don't want to be misleading and say it's as simple as creating just a quick piece of content around that long tail keyword, because it's not. You have to create the best answer to that question.
Content. Yeah. I think keyword is what gets you started, you know, but you still have to do the work. Yeah. We have another question from Zella. And so she asked if ICM Rush and Mongolo also relevant. I don't know how to pronounce it. Also relevant for keyword for local relevant searches.
Great question. So geo, that's what I call geo-specific location searches. That is another entire gold mine that has not been tapped into by a lot of businesses, because if you add on the terms, I just did a study on this. For example, let's say we're looking at pet grooming and we add in the key terms of where we're at in a city. So for me, that would be pet grooming, Austin, Texas. Your keyword difficulty score goes down by 50% by adding that location. So you immediately have, 50 times more chances of ranking in the top 3 or 4 of Google. So geo-specific, those location keywords are huge. And I would recommend, if you're a brick and mortar or you serve brick and mortars, tell them to be doing that, because not enough businesses are. And that is a great tactic. So that's a great question, Zala. And I would say when it comes to the research, that could be really tricky, because if you look that up, for example, especially in SEMrush, it's not going to give you a lot of data on very specific locations, especially in other countries. But that doesn't mean that the possibility isn't there. And that's what you kind of have to read between the lines. And you have to say, okay, is there an audience here? Do I know they exist? And if if you've met these people and they're looking for these services, sometimes the keyword tools are just not accurate and they haven't found the data yet. But you should still pick up that key term and create content for it. So don't rely on the data. And I would always err on the side of low competition. If you have a low competition keyword, but the data isn't there, it's kind of like thinking, if you're an attorney, and this is one of the best examples I can give. If you're an attorney and you want to see a very specific type of client walk in your office, are you going to target 30 ideal clients? Or are you going to target 300 broad searchers? If you have those 30 ideal clients walk in and hire you, that's money. And out of those 300 people that are super broad, you may not get one client. So think about, like, even if there's not a lot of numbers, if each of those people become clients, that's huge.
Wow, those are really great tips. I guess we just need to take your course, Julia, to learn more.
I'm not trying to sell my course, I promise.
But no, I know, but you're just so knowledgeable. Yeah, like really great tip. We got another question from Natasha. You guys are just having so many amazing questions. Next time, I don't even need to send my guests any questions ahead of time. I don't need to do that.
These are great. Yeah.
Yeah, can you say Natasha's question? Because my light is reflecting. Yeah.
Yes, your thoughts on Adwords keyword tool, which is an excellent question. Okay, so here's why I would say avoid the Adwords keyword tool. I will tell you why. And you can find this data. You can find this said by Rand Fishkin, Brian Dean. So I'm not the only one that says this, but it is super important to not use their tool, because all of the data is in their favor. So if you're looking up a keyword, they're not going to show you a high opportunity keyword, because they want you to pay for AdWords. See where I'm going? So if you find a great keyword that you can create organic content for, not pay a single ad, which is all I've done the last 6 years, haven't paid a single dime in AdWords, just created high opportunity keyword content, then they don't win. Google doesn't make money from that. So they don't want you finding that data. And so there have been people, marketers, that have done some research, and they find that Google doesn't give you all the data that SEMrush would, or Mangles. So that data, AdWords kind of hides. So that's why you want to be really careful, even using it for that high opportunity keyword research. I would definitely recommend not even using it. As rough as that sounds.
That's amazing. Thank you. Yes, yes. And I just take a look at the clock. We are almost approaching the end of the hour. Just to respect everyone's time, I'm just going to move along. And I don't want to keep Julia here forever. We just need to take your course. And you are clearly, I call you a content creation machine, Julia. You just create so much amazing content on a regular basis and consistently, which I really admire. One of my personal struggles is kind of to balance between content creation and being like just engaging with people, social listening, having fun, building relationship on social media. So how do you balance that? You know, like being social on social media and also kind of like lock yourself in just to create content. So how do you balance that? I just like my number one struggle.
That is such a great question. And I think that's really taken me years to figure out, because you can get so lost in the rut of just, oh, I got to get this blog out, I have to format it, I have to tag it. So all of the things that go along with creating content that get super monotonous, that's where you can get lost so easily. And what I've started doing is utilizing and I don't want to plug, but I've utilized my own content creation team, Express Writers. And I've utilized them to just come in and do some of what I call the work that content creators shouldn't be doing, which is all of that technical stuff, like plugging in that piece of content, scheduling it, proofreading it, you know, and it's really important to look at your schedule. And if that's taking up a lot of your time, you know what, it's so much more important to be creating content. So with us, if we're content creators, we need to be writing out our thoughts and coming up with that next best piece of content. That's where our talents lie. So if we're stuck on all the technicalities, you know, I really recommend working with someone. And, you know, it can be really difficult to say, okay, the investment is worth it, especially at the beginning. But in the end, what you're going to find is once you hire someone to help you with all of that, and it can be as simple as, you know, I'm not saying that you have to use my team or anything. It can be as simple as like getting a virtual assistant, working with someone who can just sit right next to you and take your content, plug it in for you, and proofread it. Because if your time gets really sucked in there, and I think that's where a lot of our time goes very easily.
That's right.
It's not super high ROI. So that's what we really need to consider. Okay, I need to delegate. I need to outsource. I need to hire for this part of content creation. And once you can really bucket your time into just creating amazing content, your authority, your presence skyrockets, because the things you're doing matter and they're so effective. And they're like, I don't my Twitter chat anymore. I'm just there, and I create the content topics with my social media manager. But when it comes to the actual management, all of that work behind the scenes, that's what Rachel, our social media manager, does. And delegating is, I think, the road to growth. If you don't delegate, at some point you get submerged, and then you're like, what's happening? I don't like what I'm doing anymore.
That's right. Yeah. I love how on your podcast you interview some of your team members. I actually learned a lot from like some of your team members. Yeah, so I like how they share. Yeah. It's great. And my kind of last two, like, our final question is, you clearly have lots of like secrets to be where you are today. And based on what I heard from you and what I read about you, it seems like self-education and staying like 100% committed are the top secrets to your success. So can you elaborate on those traits and how they really helped you get where you are today, Julia?
Would you say those two traits again? I think I missed the second one.
Yeah, self-education and being really committed, like 100% committed to whatever you want to accomplish.
Yes. Well, I think that completely sums it up. And I don't want to make it seem simple again, but it really comes down to how much are you willing to invest in yourself and get ahead with your own education, with your own skills, with your own knowledge. And then secondly, how committed are you going to be to that journey? And that can be really hard, especially when you're stuck in a rut, you don't feel inspired. So, it's really important also to mix in taking breaks and spending time for yourself if you're completely just inundated with content and stuff to do that's coming out of your ears. So like just stopping in the middle of my day and reading a book or going for a walk, which I need to do more of, is really a good way to kind of refresh your brain and step away and recharge. But everything you do, again, it really comes to delegating, being smart about where you spend your time. That has literally been a huge secret. And I think that a lot of top content creators, they may not share that publicly, because if you start knowing that someone else is ghostwriting their content, that doesn't look good for them. But every top content creator has support. Like, do not second guess that. That's happening. So those people with tons of content, a huge network, they have a huge team, and there's people behind the scenes that we don't see. So, never think that you can't do that. And I think the road there really comes down to investing in yourself, committing to the journey, never giving up. That is like one of my all-time success lessons. Never give up. I have you can see it's on my door. Focus, dream it.
Yeah, you have definitely inspired me a lot, Julia. Yeah, especially as a mom, and we both have little children, so you definitely inspire me a lot. And this comment from Natasha, she said basically this is like the best conversation, the top content conversation that she has ever had. And me too. And this so much value. Yeah, I'm going to re-listen and re-watch this. I think I'm going to learn even more, because right now I'm trying to monitor the content and not really focus. But this has been truly amazing. And finally, tell us more about your course. Everyone says how amazing you are, and you recently launched your course certification. So tell us more, and how can people benefit from taking your course, Julia?
Yes, absolutely. So my course literally just launched about the week before I went to the conference. So like September 2nd, we officially launched the brand new site. And this has been the project that I've spent the last 5 months of my life on. Like, no kidding. My husband will tell you, I drove him crazy. I overworked myself a little bit, probably, but the end result was worth it. So my course is live. It's called the Practical Content Strategy Certification Course. And everything is in beta stage with the marketing. So right now, like, we're about to partner up with some really big publications, and they're going to feature it as ongoing education, which is really exciting. But you can see the curriculum. And today, or like hours before your show, I just launched a free version of the course where you can get about 20 short lessons, and you're able to access that immediately for free. So
where can we get that? Where can we get that? Please give us the link, because I saw the curriculum. It's so amazing, everyone. I saw the curriculum. It is absolutely, I think it's the best online marketing course out there. I really think so. I was so impressed just by looking at the curriculum, the content, without even watching any of the course.
That is awesome. Well, that is what I created it to be. Sitting down, creating it, those 5 months of work, I have to say, I almost gave up like 3 different times, because it was just so overwhelming. Like, creating this curriculum, the content for it almost put me under, but I survived. So it was definitely the biggest undertaking of my life. And that's why I published that Medium story about, the work that goes into a course is something the people that take the course may not realize. It is crazy. It is just insane. But back to the topic, you can get to it at contentstrategycourse.com. So that, we also own the plural domain for it, which I think right now it redirects to. So either or, Content Strategy Course, contentstrategycourses.com. And the free course is accessible in the, I believe it's the heading of the site. So there should be a button that says free course. So that's what went live just a few hours ago. So that is something you can kind of like get your feet wet and see what I teach before you buy the entire course. So I'm really excited about that as well. But I'm glad you had a look at it. I'm glad you thought it was amazing. That's
It
awesome.
is really amazing. Yeah, I absolutely learned a lot from. I'm definitely going to check out this freebie, and thank you for making that available to us and to learn even more. Yeah, everyone is sending you congratulations here. And yes, 5 months, that's really hard work. And everyone, if you love Julia's content today, please give her course a shout out on your social media, on Twitter, and give her a heart, some support. She works so hard on this, and clearly she knows so much about her own subject. And thank you, Julia. And how can we, and give us one last parting piece of advice, and how can we get a hold of you or find you, and please share with us, and then we will say goodbye.
Yes. So let's see. One parting piece of advice. You know, I was thinking about this before we went live, and I think like the biggest piece of self-advice that I've given myself to just hang in there is, you know, sometimes the work we put in, we do not see the results overnight. And it is so important to remember that, you know what, that piece of content you created could get picked up by someone, a ginormous influencer, a publication. I've gotten opportunities for paid speaking gigs that were like thousands of dollars from content I created months ago. And I thought that content was going to go nowhere. So if you're creating content and you don't see ROI, hang in there, because the best is yet to be. So that is one of the
That's so encouraging to hear.
It is the truth, because, you know, sometimes we work so hard and we write content and we put our hearts out there. And when we don't see results right away, it can feel completely defeating. But the results could come in 6 months. That's when that influencer could pick it up, or it could get ranked in Google in the top 3, or you could get approached by someone who wants you to speak and pay you. So those things, all those things have happened to me. And all of those things have happened months after I put out the content. So hang in there and, you know, continue your education, it doesn't have to be through my course unless you want to. Continue your education in some way, continue to learn, and just hang in there. As you create content, do not give up, hang in there. So that's my biggest tip to leave you guys with.
Yes, and how can we connect with you?
Julia E. McCoy. I'm Julia E. McCoy on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm just Julia McCoy. So I left out my middle initial on YouTube.
Wow, I didn't know you also have a YouTube channel. See, everyone, this is what I'm talking about. Content creation machine. It's Julia. That's your official title. I think you used the word monkey, right? You one of your podcasts. I like that.
Well, I am launching a YouTube show this Saturday. So the first episode goes out on Saturday. And I actually, with the first episode, I'm launching a post on our site and on Medium about what I did to launch the show. And it's really surprising. It's little effort if you know like what DIY tools to invest in. So I'm listing all of those DIY tools, and it cost me under, like, one of the tools was $8 for a clip-on mic. So all of these different things you can do to create a video are super cheap. So I'm listing all of that whenever the first episode launches. But the show will be called The Content Marketers Cafe on YouTube. So I'm excited.
I love that. Yeah, definitely going to check it out. But yes, and my tools are also very cheap. And I can show you real quick. Look, guys, this is how I do live. Look. I just use my books to stack up, and you just need to get.
Great idea. I'll just put some books in my desk.
Yeah, you just need to get started. But anyway, thank you so much, Julia. I just wonder if you ever sleep. You are truly amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for so much value and such an amazing conversation. I think this is definitely the top conversation I have ever had on this show. And
Wow.
you brought so
Honor.
much value, and I can clearly see everyone in the audience learned a lot. And stay tuned for my recap. And next week, we have Darren, who is a regular on our show, join us. He's going to be our guest of honor and going to share with us how his entire class does a Snapchat takeover for police station. So I'm super excited to hear his story of Snapchat, how he uses Snapchat to create content and to engage students, and amazing. Yeah, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and thank you, Julia. And I love you guys so much, and keep learning and keep producing content.
We love you, Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Take care of everyone. Thank you so much. Good night, good evening, good morning.
Bye.
Bye.